Hey, this is Ben. I've done a recreation of some of the Deep Rock Galactic menu sounds that I wanted to go through. Basically, I just played the game, opened the menu, clicked around, recorded the footage, and replaced it with my own sounds. So I'll start with the footage that I recorded with the original audio.
This drone will be a powerhouse!
And here is my replacement of that audio. I'll start with the button click sound. Firstly, the original, and next my version. Basically for this I recorded my mechanical keyboard. So this is the sample here. So I've turned off all the plugins and I'll turn them on one at a time. That's with nothing. Then with the transient shaper, I just took off some of the transients here and added some gain back because that removes gain. Just makes it a bit smoother. I prefer it that way. Takes away some of the keyboardy sound. Then I pitched it down just a tad. I added a delay to thicken the sound up, just like a slap back. And then this EQ to take away basically just like the highs and the lows, kind of like make a keyboardy click, and I wanted to sound less like a keyboard. And then finally this melder convolution reverb. Alright, next up the sound of the hovering over buttons. I'll play the original again. And then my version. This is pretty simple. It's just the button clicking sound, but shortened a lot. So instead of being like click click, it's click. And with exactly the same plugins supplied, the one difference I think being the EQ is a little different. That's why it sounds a little weaker versus this. Alright, next up is the sound when you upgrade the drone. Here's the original.
This drone will be a powerhouse!
And my version. Obviously it's like pretty different. There's no voiceover, there's no kind of whoosh at the end. But I think the elements are all there, and I think it sounds pretty good. And yeah, it took me quite a long time to make this one. Alright, so I'll just go through each layer one at a time. The first layer is this clicking. That's the old click sound. This is exactly the same. Literally the same. Then there's this coin sound here, because you're buying something. And then a second coin sound, which is a little longer and lower, and plays just afterwards. So it has this, it kind of it elongates the sound and makes it more interesting. Then there's that wah sound that's kind of the synth sound in here. And then there's this kind of subtle whoosh, which plays when just after, when the button kind of disappears or depresses, I guess. You can see it up here. And finally, there's this kick that just makes the whole sound feel more significant and powerful. So I'll go through how I implemented them. This coin I did in Vital, even though it's just a sample. I don't know. It's a sample from the GDC pack. I think I was just messing around with it in Vital at first, and I just left it that way. So instead of like using fades, I just use an envelope here. Then with these like Vital things applied, is the original, just without anything, just a sample. with the envelope. Then I add a chorus, delay, like a slapback delay, and then some reverb. So the next part of that, this second layer is almost exactly the same. It just has that pitch shift is not there. The envelope is different. It's longer and has it cuts out the transient at the start. Same plugins. So yeah, you get that total. This third layer is actually synthesized in Vital. There's like layers two different wavetable on top of each other, and uses this LFO to modify the frame. And modifying the frame gives it adds more frequency, so it kind of sounds like a wah. In fact, if I take off the LFO, super boring. And then each effect, chorus, same deal as before, really. It's got a nice stereo field, slapback, and then the reverb. So yeah, so far this. Then this whoosh is also a GDC sample that I, made it a lot shorter. Not very interesting. And then the final part is this kick, which is a sample from this pack called Analog Kicks. It's like a free sample I found, which contains a whole bunch of kick sounds and other like snare sounds and stuff. But I also did this in Vital for the same reason as before. I think I was just messing around and I left it that way. That's it basically. Just a bit of slapback and reverb. So yeah, left with that. And then in total, next up is the little sound that plays when you hover over this, like the space station icon here, like that. Sorry, that's the original. And here was my version of it, and that. This is pretty fun. I did it in Vital as well, but I did this weird thing here where the delay effect is not like a delay. It's actually this is the original signal here, just like a single note. I think the Vital configuration is up here, same kind of like LFO over this this wavetable. That's it. But then I reversed it and put it before it. So this is like the reverse signal. This is the original signal, which gives that like smooth, funny, like smooth delay. Next up is the sound that plays when you actually click on this icon and it opens this menu. In my version, I'll start with the beep at the start. So you'll see, I'll play both the hover and the beep sound, so you'll see what, it's literally just the same thing down an octave. Next up is this, I'll put them at the same time, these little clicks that play, little. I think this was quite fun to do. This is exactly the same sample as the keyboard samples before, except there's 9 of them, one for each menu button that shows up, yeah. I think it's like really nice sound design by the people that did this. Like it's generally just really well synced up with animations. This whole thing is really nice. It like really sells the mechanical kind of industrial aesthetic of the game. And then finally is this little click at the end, which I guess is conceptually the menu kind of locking into place. I'm sorry, I'll just go through the last layer because that's the only one that's especially different here. This click. which is a sample that I took from my bassinet, my kid's bassinet that has a thing where you can click the bassinet into the pram. That's it. Which when I chopped it up and put it back in the sound, and I think I did this like transient shaping thing that I mentioned, and just an EQ and some reverb. Okay, the final sound is this one that plays when you actually click on one of the menu items. That's the original, and then this is my one. Again, this is the same mechanical keyboard sample as the hover. The only difference is that I added this this plugin here, which is the stock reverb from like if you make a small room size in this plugin, it kind of sounds like a fluff sound or something. But it works pretty well for what I wanted here. Yeah, that's it. I'll play the whole thing one more time just as an outro, but thanks for watching.